G'day YouTube, it's Turbo Tristan here. In today's video we're going to be doing a revision of the Max Peating Rods Series 6 coilovers that they've had some issues with for the EF/ED Civics, CRX and the early model ones. Now there was a couple of videos, I did one, I think it was Garage Built Hondas did one as well, where they mucked up their suspension and then they also hacked it up. Then I did a video in response to that on what not to do with your coilovers. As you guys know, I've been working very closely with Max Peating Rods and I've sent them lots of measurements, dimensions, all sorts of ideas, and they've sent me a revised front strut assembly for the EF/ED Civic. So today I'm going to chuck it in and see what the difference is. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Yeah, it's been a minute since we've done an update on this red ED Civic, or EF, depending on which country you're from. But we did get about fitting some coilovers to this, which were the next gen Max Peating rods. Now there's no engine in there, but you can see that the front sits up an absolute ton. There's no engine in my car and the front doesn't sit up nearly as high as this one. The back's not too bad, but I would love it to go lower if I had the choice and if it was my car. But the front is just, it's in the stratosphere. So Max Peating Rods have sent me a new setup, a revised lowered strut combo, and we're going to test that out today and give you a little update on this guy. But first I've got to get it into the shed, chuck it up on the hoist, and then pull the wheels off. We'll get the suspension side by side and compare them and see what changes they've made. We'll get the suspension side by side, compare them and see what the changes are. But first, let's get this bad boy on the lift. So if you're playing along at home and you've noticed, man, Tristan wears those clothes a lot and he's always dirty and smelly and sweaty and stuff, it's because I've done 3 videos today, all suspension. I've done my car with Coney's, my missus' car with KYB's, and we're doing Diego's car, the ED Civic. But before we do that, we need to get a base height of the car. Now there's no engine in there. We've done a few little updates since you've last seen it, and those updates are finishing off the hydraulic clutch. So that's all done and dusted. I've made a bracket there and mounted the reservoir. I've used a factory OEM EK reservoir there and line, made all that work, and we've got this cable just chilling here, which is going to go to the front of the gearbox once the motor's in. Now that's just chilling there for when I have to drag it in and out of the garage all the time. We've also upgraded to an EK master cylinder. That's the 7/8 master cylinder, which is the preferred one for all the races. Not the 1 inch, which some people might think. We've also began running the power steering lines, the fuel lines and everything's all in, and the wiring loom is all in. The big hold up with this car is the Hasport engine mounts. Now Hondi Boy, a fan of the channel, a subscriber, has hooked me up with my mounts for my K-series over there under those cloths. But Diego actually pre-ordered and back-ordered his mounts through Elusive Racing, which is the distributor here in Melbourne for Hasport mounts, and there's a bit of a backlog, so he's just waiting for those. Once they arrive, then the motor's going to get chucked straight in there, drive shafts in, plug in all the wires, plumb up the fuel, do the power steering, and then I've got to figure out wiring up the OEM style fuel pump and everything to the OEM wiring loom. Shouldn't be too hard. Then I've got to get that to somehow work with the factory key in this car. So a little bit of electrical stuff to do. I'm also considering mounting the battery under here behind the bumper for a bit of a tuck sort of look. But that depends what it looks like here once the engine is in and the intake pipe is run. I do have an Integra airbox which I want to run over there. We'll see if it's all going to fit. If not, battery's going underneath there and we'll make way for the air intake, the exhaust and the airbox. But having said all that, first thing we've got to do is take a base measurement. Now there's no engine in the car, I've mentioned it 10 times already, but it's still a good height. So That's all the way low as far as it can go set up in the car. So I'm going to measure the center of the wheel to the guard, then I'm going to switch over to this new coilover design and do the same thing. So we'll check out how we've gone. We might not need to go all the way low on that one. I'll put them side by side when they're both out of the car and see what they look like. Hop to it, chaps. Well, that was super easy. The first one's out. I've got them on the ground, and the exciting thing is they are definitely shorter. So the one here on the right, that's the new coilover, and straight off the bat lined up, you can see there is already a difference here. We've adjusted it all the way down on that side. This one still has all of this adjustment to go. So what I'm going to do is bring that down around halfway and then stick it in the car. Otherwise, everything else is exactly the same. The spring height is shorter on the new one, so they've got shorter springs. The body looks pretty much the same. Everything else is the same thickness and sizes. So it's just a shorter spring and a shorter shock. Let's see how much we can wind this inside its cup so we can get it nice and low. So I've eyeballed that roughly. It's about half of the adjustment that it had, which is about all of the adjustment that this one had. And you can see now we are about 1 inch shorter. So I'm going to throw that in. It's going to bring that wheel gap down. Happy days. Glad to see Max Speeding Rods have listened to their fans, their supporters, their critics, everyone, and they've improved their product. This is version 6.1 or 6.2 of their brand new coilovers. Very excited to be working with them. And it's just great that there's a company out there that listens to the little guys like me. 10,000 subscribers all the way down in Australia, mucking around with budget Civic builds and Beamer builds and all sorts of budget stuff, budget coilovers, and they actually listen and care and really want to improve their product. So that's awesome. We'll get that one back in the car. We've got the other side, the passenger side, to do, so I'm going to measure those and get them the same before I throw them in. Switch them out. Nice and simple. Well, that was easy and quick and a really good time to give you guys an update on this car. If anyone's been missing it, I know there's a few people been asking where it is. We're waiting on engine mounts, but I've done the measure center to guard. Previously it was 37 centimeters, now it's 35 centimeters, so it's exactly how I've lowered it there, about 1 inch, just under. I'm going to set the whole suspension and everything up once the engine's in there and the weight's in there, because I'm tipping that that's going to come down around another 15 or 20 millimeters. So overall it should sit really, really nice. So we won't know until it's all set up. But that's it for today. Don't forget to spool up, bring the boost. We'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we've got some engine mounts for this and some engine mounts for my car out there. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go get cleaned up now. That's 3 videos that I've smashed out today just for you guys for content. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We're over 10K now. Next stop, 50K. See you in the next one. Cheers.